Hi, welcome to Qigong Project. I'm Robert Kunz. Today I'm going to tell you about Yang Sheng, the forerunner to modern Qigong. The term Qigong only came into use in the 1950s. Although it had been used in popular culture in a few instances before then, the term Qigong applied to a type of energetic practice only became popular after 1956, when the Qigong master Liu Guizhen, the founder of Neiyang Gong, collaborated with the Chinese Communist Party in order to promote Qigong practice as a preventative health exercise. Qigong gained its greatest popularity in the 1980s and then became a taboo subject after the late 1990s, when a series of popular cults began to adopt Qigong as a religious practice and got into conflict with the Chinese Communist Party. So this term Qigong describes a set of energetic practices which can be physical, mental, involve breathing, exercises, and various other things, but it's not the original name which was used to describe these types of practice. Initially, there were many different types of names that could be used to describe practices which today we view as Qigong. One of them is Yang Sheng. Yang Sheng means nourishing life. The term nourishing life goes back a very long way in Chinese culture, probably at least 2,300 years. But it was an especially popular concept in the Taoist and the Chinese medicine schools, although Buddhism and Confucianism also have their own versions of Yang Sheng practice. So what does Yang Sheng include? Unlike modern Qigong, Yang Sheng is also especially concerned with things like diet, sleep schedule, the calendar, what you should do at various different times of year, how you regulate your emotions, and so on and so forth. So it also includes various types of practice like Daoyin, leading and stretching, Tuna, breath techniques, and Cunjiang, visualization, as well as using the mind to lead the energy. But because of its inclusion of things like diet and lifestyle, it's much more comprehensive than modern Qigong for the most part. This is a result of Yang Sheng emerging from within Chinese medicine. However, broadly, when we refer to Yang Sheng as a type of Qigong exercise, we might talk about it as Yang Sheng Fa. Fa means method, so Yang Sheng Fa means a method of nurturing life. These methods typically involve some combination of stretching, self-massage, breathing, using saliva to nourish the inner body, and various types of intention exercises in order to open the body, deal with specific acupoints or cavities in the body to loosen them up and make qi and blood flow through them, and to stimulate the energy of the body and bolster spiritual awareness. So Yang Sheng, in its traditional context, although there are various moving practices within the genre, such as the five animal frolics, Wu Qin Xi, which are attributed to the legendary physician Hua Tuo, the majority of Yang Sheng practice in traditional times was actually done static while sitting. And so various different modern exercises which are done standing and moving, such as the Baduanjin, the 8 silk brocades, as far back as 500 years ago, or maybe even as recently as a couple hundred years ago, were pretty much exclusively done sitting and were much more static and more meditative than contemporary Qigong practices that go by the same names. So Yang Sheng Gong or Yang Sheng Fa, right, Yang Sheng methods, in their most traditional sense, are really sort of meditative exercises where we use self-massage and we use things like swallowing the saliva and using the breath and using visualization in order to elicit a healing effect on the body or an energetic effect on the body. We might do things, for instance, like imagine a flame inside of our belly button, and then that flame moves to the lower abdomen, and then moves to the perineum, moves to the tailbone, moves to the center of the back, then moves to the upper back, then moves to the top of the head, and then allow the energy to enter into the brain, swirl the tongue around the inside of the mouth, collect the saliva, and swallow it, right? That's a very classic Yang Sheng technique that comes from the original Baduanjin, the original seated 8 silk brocades. You may notice that on this Qigong Project YouTube page, we do have a tutorial of the modern 8 silk brocades, which are done standing. And in the future, we may put the traditional 8 silk brocades, or we may put at least part of them in order to clarify the difference between modern and traditional Yangsheng practices. So these Yangsheng practices, they can involve physical movement and stretching, but generally, there's a higher degree of static or semi-static exercises relative to movement exercises. Whereas modern Qigong takes great influence from Chinese martial arts such as Tai Chi Chuan and Shaolin, and it incorporates many of those practices, making it a more active, dynamic, and moving system of cultivating energy and well-being. So that's really the fundamental difference between Yangsheng and modern Qigong practices. However, if we compare Yangsheng against internal alchemy, or meditation more broadly, Yangsheng is more active than meditation, whereas meditation is more static than Yangsheng. And so a very common misinterpretation in the internal alchemy world is that people use traditional Yangsheng practices such as breath holding and such as visualization in order to stimulate qi, and they believe that that's internal alchemy practice. But actually, internal alchemy has its own completely distinct theory and practice, which has nothing to do with these Yangsheng practices. Yangsheng practices can be used in concert with internal alchemy in order to mutually strengthen each other's effects, but they shouldn't be confused with each other. I'll make a completely separate internal alchemy video in the future to explain the nature of that art, which I have been practicing for a very long time and truly love. But Yangsheng, generally speaking, is its own category. It's made up again of Tuna, so breathing exercises, Daoyin, stretching exercises, Cunxiang or Cunse, so visualization or intention exercises, and Anmo or self-massage. Now, it might be interesting for you to know that in the old days, such as in the Neijing, the internal classic, it actually says that Daoyin and Anmo are the same art. So Daoyin and Qiao is what they used to call Daoyin stretching and self-massage. Anqiao means pressing into the orifices or pressing into the points, right? So pressing into certain acupoints is Anqiao, and Daoyin is stretching. So a lot of the old Yangsheng methods, such as the Yangsheng method of Sun Simiao, as an example, are called Anmofa, massage method, even though they're actually a kind of stretching. That's an interesting historical piece of information about Yangsheng that might be useful to you in your research if you want to go even farther with your knowledge about Qigong. So that's a general introduction to Yangsheng. I hope that you found it useful, and in the future I'll be making more videos about this topic, talking about specific things like Daoyin, self-massage, breathing, and so on and so forth, in order to hopefully improve the knowledge of the community. This video is also part of a article that I'm writing for my Substack at Immortality Study at Substack. So I'll link to that I'll link to my Substack in the description, because of course the video will have to go up before the article can be written, since the video will be in the article. But I'll link to my Substack in the linky deal. What do you call it? Description. There we go. In the description, and you can visit my Substack if you like, and then you'll be able to read an article comparing Yangsheng to internal alchemy practice, which I hope you'll find interesting. Also, please visit my website www.qigongproject.blog. I have a lot of information about traditional and modern Qigong there, which I think you might find quite useful. And please give a like and follow this video. And if you want to make a comment in the comments section, I'd be more than happy to chat with you about this wonderful, interesting topic of Qigong past and present. Okay, thanks very much for watching. I'm Robert Koons, and we'll see you next time.